Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Silver the Hedgehog here, and once again, I am back for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos, as you probably expect at this point in time. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, aka the hardest Zelda games ever made for the Nintendo Entertainment System / Famicom Disk System. So yeah, last time we essentially did manage to tackle through two other palaces, or to be more specifically, we did somehow tackle through two temples, so as a result, we did somehow manage to done with those two okay enough, despite I stumbled across into quite a few deaths from time to time, most notably with the forms of the annoying blue variant of the forms of the Iron Knuckle. But regardless of everything else though, we did things a little bit more decently, I suppose. So today, for this video, is about the fact that we were able to actually go ahead and head over to the next destination. So because of that, although as you can tell, I've stumbled across into yet another game over, if you couldn't tell, mainly because if I do die at one point during the later progressioning for the sake of time, this means I have to go all the way back to the Hyrule Temple, and believe me, it is so ridiculous. Well, it wasn't until when it gets to the point until in the end game that things gets a little bit differently. Well, at least as far as I'm concerned. So because of that, yeah, not much explanations for the sake of time, unfortunately for the sake of time, especially concerning for the fact that we've already did manage to deal out with the forms of a lot of conversations all about during the forms of, you know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Now I suppose this might actually be the last time I'm going to be mentioning about the forms of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in general. Well, it wasn't until when it gets to the point until we'll decide to do the DLC waves for the sake of the forms of the continuation parts of, you know, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, as far as I'm concerned, until specifically next year in 2024, to celebrate the 10th anniversary of the game's release, specifically the Wii U version in general. So, because I was originally trying to actually just to go ahead and, deal with all of those Booster Course Pass cups in general during the course of this year, but unfortunately though, due to time constraints, and on top of that, we'll be busy playing through not only for the sake of the forms of Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link, but also with Super Mario Bros. 4, Super Mario Bros. 3, and of course Sonic Frontiers, and maybe some other small Let's Plays in general for the sake of the forms of maybe just trying to cut up the rest of the series for now. Like, I know for the fact that for one thing is that it's been about, I would say it's been about a month ago almost since we actually, like, did done the Super Monkey Ball Let's Play ever since in Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania during the course of this year. So as a result, hopefully though, I suppose that we'll probably let Sonic and the others should to actually explain more details about that particular topic and worth noting for. So for now, we'll just go ahead and explore the next different portion of Hyrule, if you couldn't tell already, and this pretty much leads us to not only one, but two other temples we can to actually explore. Although, I was expecting to actually just decide to also tackle for the 5th temple, but I think I'm also able to only stick around with one temple for now, ever since the journey forms have been the beginning portion of the Let's Play so far. So, relatively speaking though, is about the fact that looks like we actually onto, let's just say, we now onto the halfway point in terms of the actual story progression for Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link, which as a result, despite it's a bit rough around the edges for certain areas, specifically during the forms of in Death Mountain section, but regardless of everything else though, it seems that we're actually doing okay enough, like I said before, but it's just about the fact that I'm just not a big fan of this game, as you probably couldn't tell already. So because of that, and I think the problem with the forms of Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link is that one reason I really don't like this game is the fact that, well, sometimes it can be confusing at times whenever you decide to go what the heck you want to go to. And as far as I'm concerned, unlike in Zelda 1, they do have a built-in map function. This game does not have a built-in map, so because of that, you have to take a wild card guess until you're able to know which specific destination you want to go into. So because of that, that could be rather tedious at points, especially concerning for the fact that if you really want to tackle for certain temples coming up, then obviously you pretty much expect to know of what's to be expected. So Although, relatively speaking, though, it's about the fact that there was also another pickup you can probably able to find, but I should probably save those until whatever we get to towards the end game, basically, because, if you couldn't tell already, we somehow stumbled across into this old witch man, or specifically this wizard man, and from here we can now able to have the ability to use Fire Spell. I believe the Fire Spell is only useful if you try to take down certain enemies, so because of that, that'll be recommendable though if you decide able to grind as many of those experience points as much as you can. Now, when it comes to the forms of those grinding certain experience points, as far as I'm concerned, eventually at some point and during the forms of the next month in general, is that potentially speaking of, I've decided able to actually go ahead and grind myself a lot of those experience points later down the road, mainly during the forms of after we decided able to finish up everything, for the sake of the forms of, let's just say, in, once we finish up everything for the sake of the forms of temple number 4, I think is where it's at. Basically though, what I've decided to do is that I'm also playing this game on my own bit for a while, just in case I can able to actually grind as many of those experience points as much as I can, until I'm able to actually just to guarantee able to actually get some more level ups or something. So, but even then, that's the primary example of why, that until next weekend, I've decided to not able to, like, do some more uploading schedules for this game from now on, because like I said before, is that next week is going to be the 25th anniversary of the show's release of the Powerpuff Girls. So because of that, we need to figure something out though, especially concerning for the fact that I'm sure that both Mighty and Ray have, assuming they're able to actually mention more about it, until specifically this Friday coming up. And also, short things worth noting for is that we've only just got about 5 more days to go until Super Mario RPG for the Nintendo Switch as a remake should be coming. So because of that, still I'm very excited for it, especially concerning for the fact that after all, I've already managed able to, you know what I'm saying, I've already managed able to complete quite a lot of Nintendo Switch games recently, so because of that, I've somehow managed able to finally got back on track when it comes to completing certain Switch games before I move on to the next one. So, can you tell why I really love the Nintendo Switch so much, especially concerning for the fact that not only because it's portability, or to be more specifically, you can play the thing on the go, and every time whenever I decide to play some RPG games, well, the only time exception being is of course Xenoblade Chronicles Trilogy, because I have tried able to actually play those games, but I'm never really good at them. So because of that, oh, something tells me that enemy right there looks very similar, doesn't it? As the forms of how it does with one of those Rhino Jerkoff enemies as we've come across into or something. Or perhaps even maybe it's very similar to Iron Knuckle. But from here, this is where we find a missing doll. Or a lost child, to be more specifically. And because of that, that's one of those side quests that you do have to able to consider this, because, relatively speaking though, if you do somehow manage to able to find the lost child in Journey Forms of this maze island, if you couldn't tell already, that we're literally in a maze. Basically though, I think that'll pretty much guarantees us to able to get another one of those useful stuff. But before we get into that though, I need to quickly just traverse into so many of those battle sequences, like, you know, there's a lot of battle sequence 24/7 for the sake of the forms of this game, but luckily you can just, oh, I'm gonna have to able to, go for it, aren't I? But let's not worry about that right now, because if we go in here, there's another, you know, pit, so as a result, we get ourselves the, another thing as we've somehow obtained or something, even though I can't really tell what that is though, mainly because it's been about quite a few hours ago since I actually have last played this, so, but anywho though, so yeah, a few things I want to explain for this point today is that, potentially speaking, is that today's date of course is the 12th of November today, in some cases in 2023 today, and for those of you who lived in the UK, happy 13th anniversary of the game's release of Sonic Colors for the Nintendo Wii. And man, while looking back on the Wii version, it still is a great Sonic game in my opinion, especially considering for the fact that unlike this Ultimate version that is incredibly buggy, whilst in the forms of how it does it on the Wii version, it's actually a lot stable. So because of that, and thus it does have extra life systems, so as a result, maybe I can probably get back into that game at some point, whenever I decided able to go for the entire completionist run, for the sake of the forms of, well, I've already technically done all the red star rings collecting, but now I need to do all the S rank runs. So that could be quite of a challenge though, especially concerning for the fact that I have to able to recollect those specific red star rings, all things considered. Even though the only problem is though, is that I'm pretty much used to with the forms of Sonic Colors Ultimate, red ring, or red star ring placement sometimes, thanks to the forms of the Jade Ghost Wisp. So because of that, I need to get my muscle memory for the sake of the forms of where certain, red star ring locations are for the sake of the original Wii version of Sonic Colors, but I'm sure enough though is about for the fact that it still is a great Sonic game even to this day. But I highly seriously still recommend the forms of the original Wii version a bit more, just because of multiple control options and of course the amazing soundtrack. So because of that, and thankfully though, the Wii version, as I said before, is a lot more stable than the forms of how it does on this very rough around the edges Ultimate Edition, just because, well, you know what I'm saying, the menus attempt to lag, and also not only that, the actual Metal Sonic race pop-up screen just feels very similar to the forms of how it does it on, you know what I mean, with the notifications pop-up for Windows XP, or specifically with certain, I don't know what you would call it, because it's been about 2 years ago since I actually have last played Sonic Colors Ultimate. Well, technically speaking, it's been about a year ago since I actually have last touched upon Sonic Colors Ultimate, because after all, I've already 100%ed everything in Sonic Colors Ultimate, all 3 versions of the game, potentially speaking, just because, you know what I'm saying, I always attempt able to actually just try to aim for the specific platinum trophies for the PlayStation trophy support, and on top of that, just trying to get some more game points for the sake of the forms of Awesome G points for the achievement system for Xbox, because I just can't help it, you know? Especially considering for the fact that I'm pretty certain for the fact that, well, you know what I'm talking about. So because of that, then of course we have to watch out for those stupid bubbles as they attempt to pop up every now and then. And from here, we can now able to actually explore the next town. So because of that, and here we are on Mountain Town of Doriyama. So it's almost like the forms of the Goron's kind of town or something like that. Well, that was before when The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time usually became a thing. Well, it's for the sake of the forms of, well, it's been a very long time since actually I've played certain Zelda games, just because I'm still playing, you know, a whole batch of Sonic games as well as Mario games before they move along to the next couple of games in the future. Although, for what I've heard anyway, is that potentially speaking now, is that the Sega says its first Super game is on the track to release by March 2026. So because of that, and they did say the budget is expected to be over $800 million for its game making or something. Well, I'm not exactly sure what it is though, but I'm sure we'll be able to find out more details about that in Journey Forms of 2026 or something. So because of that, and yeah, as a result, we somehow meet again with the forms of this particular guard right here. And because of that, we can now able to learn the next ability, which appears to be timing jump stab. So because of that, except rather than just trying to do it downwards, you can now do it upwards. So meaning about the fact you can now able to break certain blocks from above. So that's actually pretty handy though, especially considering for the fact that if you want to discover certain secrets for the sake of the forms of certain temples, then obviously you'll be good to go. So because of that, let me go ahead and rest here for now, just for I'm sure for the fact that I do need to fill up my magic meter, just in case if I do come across into certain dangerous situations like, you know what I'm saying, enemy encounters alike, then obviously I always have to make sure I have to able to get everything else set before I move along to the forms of the next segment. So, but anyways, let's talk to you, and because of that, you are a hero for saving my child. Come. And from here, we can be able to actually go inside this particular house right here. And from here, we need to go all the way to the right again. Although, this is kind of mandatory, at least as far as I'm assuming so anyway. And as a result, we can able to learn another spell. But this time, what appears to be by the forms of, well, as soon as when that particular thing pops up, we now learn the Reflect spell. what that does is that you can able to reflect projectiles right back at someone else, which that'll be a mandatory thing in my opinion for the sake of the forms of the upcoming boss fight until for later, because, well, despite the fact that I don't usually know this game as much, just because, you know what I'm saying, this is the black sheep of the series, not just because of the side-scrolling approach, but also because of how stupidly hard it is, so... But anyway, enough about that, and I just want to make sure I need to able to get everything else sorted, so... Anyway though, actually, as it turns out, it's about the fact that it looks like we've only just got about, relatively speaking, we've only got about, 11 days to go until the 6th and, probably speaking, the final chapter for the sake of My Little Pony Make Your Mark is gonna be on its way. So, even then though, I'm still curious to check it out, especially considering for the fact that, again, we've already on about this, but it bears repeating, so as a result, wow, that Octorok just killed himself. Like, he just committed suicide right into the water down below. That's, pretty amusing as far as I'm concerned. So, either way, what I found out is that the actual full, image for the likes of the forms of My Little Pony Secrets of Starlight, it seems it's gonna be once again gonna take place in a winter kind of vibes to it, except now Misty is now gonna be joining in. So because of that, you know, think of like the forms of Winter Wish Day, despite the fact that Winter Wish Day is by far the worst episode ever, according to the forms of the actual rating board, for the likes of IMDb rating board system, because I can definitely assure you right from the start though, there's going to be a lot of like, quite a few animation errors back then, especially it's kind of hard to believe it for the sake of the forms of how the fact that certain animation errors decides to come in during the forms of in the past few chapters, but thankfully it did slightly improve on that for the likes of the later chapters, but regardless of everything else though, I'm still not a big fan of G5, I must be quite frank here, so, but I digress, I'm biased I guess, so either way. Oh yeah, speaking of which though, I suppose that Sonic has completely forgotten to mention about, during the course of in Sonic Frontiers, and also Luigi has also forgotten to mention about, during the course of in Luigi's Mansion playthrough, is that, I can't believe by saying this, it's been 5 years ago since My Little Pony Best Gift Ever did somehow came to its release ever since in 2018. Despite it's oddly enough that it did somehow manage able to be released during an Halloween day, which I have no idea, or to be more specifically, almost towards Halloween season. Well, usually relatively speaking though, is about for the fact that, well, that particular The Best Gift Ever episode did somehow came out during the 27th of October, which is usually in 2018. So yeah, it's been 5 years ago. So yeah, happy, well, barely than ever I suppose, happy 5th anniversary of the actual My Little Pony special, which appears to be, well, you know what I'm saying, My Little Pony The Best Gift Ever. So I still able to actually recommend it for the sake of the forms if you want to watch something a little bit more festive for the likes of Christmas season or something. So, because yeah, every time whenever I was preparing for Christmas during the forms of each and every single years, I always attempt able to stick that particular, or trying to able to boot up My Little Pony Best Gift Ever, because obviously it feels something special to me. So, yeah, that's why I can really think about it. So because of that, yeah, pretty amazing and substantial at the same time. I suppose the only thing it needs left now, when it comes to the 5th anniversary of something related to My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, is of course Season 9 until next year, and especially noticeable with Rainbow Road Trip as well. So, yeah, time will tell though, especially concerning for the fact that we still need to able to try to figure something out for our plans for the likes of 2024, all things considered. So because of that, good thing we stumbled across into this particular red vase of magic. So because of that, we do need to heal during the forms of that specific points worth noting for. So that'll be pretty handy. So, and speaking of which though, we're about to be hitting our way during the forms of the 4th temple. So because of that, I just can't even believe that we've almost nearly at the end of this game, basically, even though I do not like this game as much, so because of that. But I should probably explain about the forms of some annoying aspects and during the forms of some temples until whenever we get to later on, for the majority of next month in particular, just because, like I said before, after we basically gone into the forms of certain later progression for this game in general, I've decided able to actually take a break on this game for a while, so because of that, don't expect things too much about it, just because obviously I need to able to get a lot of muscle memory for the sake of the forms of knowing the layout for certain rooms and certain item placements from time to time, and pretty much everything else really, so... Anyways though, and I found it was very fascinating during the forms of in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is that it seems that when it comes to the forms of the characters they somehow brings us into, for the sake of the forms of the booster course pass in mind, is that, although I will promise you guys, this will be a true definition of the final time for able to mention something related to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for now, because, you know, we basically fully 100% everything in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in general, so because of that, I feel a little bit proud for myself, but I think I should probably let Sonic were able to actually mention more about the forms of what's the reward if you managed able to fully 100% everything in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, including Booster Course Pass in general. Well, I think it's probably best to assume that we'll save that particular topic and join at some point until the later days to come, so... But I digress. So... yeah, I found it a little bit cool to able to know that when it comes to characters they did somehow manage to able to brought us into during the course of in a Booster Course Pass, is that it looks like we stumbled across into ourselves not only 3 Mario Kart Double Dash characters, which are Bodo, PD Piranha, and of course Diddy Kong, and also we've got 3 Mario Kart Tour characters, which are Pauline, as well as Peachhead and Kamek, and finally we have not only one character from the likes of in Mario Kart Wii, which is of course Funky Kong, and finally of course one character from Mario Kart 7, which is Wiggler. So because of that, yeah, it's actually pretty cool notice about the fact that with certain amount of character selections, as far as I'm aware, it seems pretty strange is about the fact that we've never actually got any new small white characters or anything else like that. We always attempt able to beg for not only medium weight characters, but also with the heavyweight characters. So because of that, maybe because of their popular choices or something like this. So, but even then, no, that's saying something. So, but anyway though, and as far as I'm aware, the final results in Junior forms of the retro tracks do return from the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in general, is that, well, suffice to say that we've actually got 4 tracks out of 20 tracks for Super Mario Kart, so it seems very small just because of the actual limitations or something. So because of that, and there goes my another death, so that's terrific. Especially concerning for the fact that there's going to be a lot of times that we will die a lot, so yeah, that won't be that fun. But it wasn't until whenever we bump into let's just say, talk of the devil, we've met again with this godforsaken blue iron knuckle. I mean, this is getting ridiculous kind of thing about it, so... Anyways, the reason why we came into this room in the first place, because we somehow obtained... Oh, that's just unfair. Especially because if you couldn't tell, every time whenever I pick something up, basically though, I would tend to get hit by certain attacks, and that's just really unfair. Especially if you manage able to grab something when you're low on health, you're about to go and take another death. So yeah, that's so stingy. So, but anyways, with that red boot item I got, I believe this allows me to able to walk on water. So that was before when I would classify the same by the forms of one of those boots you can able to obtain from the likes of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time or something like that. That's basically though you can able to actually float in air for a few seconds until you realize that you don't able to run out of well, I don't know about you, because I haven't exactly touched upon Ocarina of Time for some time since on the 3DS version, so even a little bit on the N64 version, which I will definitely gonna have to go back onto that game before I potentially try to able to do that particular Let's Play of that game or something in the future, so anyway, so as I said, we've got 4 Super Mario Kart tracks for the likes of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, so again, pretty small. Now, as far as I'm aware, Mario Kart 64, in terms of, you know, certain tracks amount, is that we've got about 6 out of 16 tracks returning from the likes of in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, based off from Mario Kart 64. Again, it's a little bit smaller, which I almost assume about the fact that we could expect able to see, you know what I'm saying, Wario Stadium, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Maybe for a next Mario Kart game in the future, but again, time will tell. So either way though, who knows, really. Now, as far as I'm aware, in terms of the forms of Mario Kart Super Circuit, it looks like we stumbled across into, let's just say, 8 out of 20 courses to make its return for the likes of the forms of in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, yeah, it's almost like a half portion, but hey, at least on the upside is that, well, the visuals have been a lot more updated here and there. So, now I believe between both Mario Kart Double Dash and Mario Kart DS, I believe they are both on 7 out of 16 courses returns from the likes of the forms of in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So as a result, we've got 7 out of 16 for Mario Kart Double Dash, and also 7 out of 16 from the likes of Mario Kart DS. And unlike Mario Kart Wii, on the other hand, we've pretty much guaranteed able to believe that we've got 11 out of 16 courses. And believe me, no wonder why a lot of people seem to think that Mario Kart Wii is their fan favorite, because of the forms of the introduction of bikes, as well as the forms of some more racers in the actual race, during the forms of 12 racers on screen, and overall, it makes it a little bit more obvious about for the fact that we've almost guaranteed able to get ourselves a glorified HD remake of Mario Kart Wii, except with the forms of, obviously with some new features like anti-gravity and stuff like that, as well as some very, new and obscure character roster. Well, at the very least though, is that the character roster is actually a lot more balanced in my opinion, especially now we've actually got the ultimate experience for experiencing Mario Kart 8 in general. I mean, seriously though, I just really love playing Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Switch now, just because it's actually, without a doubt, it's now becoming my #1 favorite Mario Kart game I've ever played. Especially every time whenever I managed able to like play online, I always have a really great time with that. But anyway, in terms of Mario Kart 7 though, there's only like, I would classify as saying 8 out of 16 tracks from the likes of the forms have been makes its return for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So it's almost got the half portion for the likes of the Mario Kart 7 tracks lineup. But that's okay though, because obviously we've been able to be okay enough for that particular selection. So, and I suppose lastly, in terms of the forms of Mario Kart Tour, tracks do return from the likes of in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which are, let's just say, 4, 8, 10, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 out of 21 tracks does return from Mario Kart Tour to the forms of in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So, yeah, that's quite a lot of selections in terms of the forms of the retro tracks. So, pretty substantial to me though, especially considering for the fact that obviously, like I said before, we've now able to actually go a chance to play the ultimate Mario Kart game, at least from my experience, especially considering for playing it on the go, even playing with some multiplayer and what have you. It doesn't matter if it's either local play or online play. I mean, it is such a fantastic way to end things off with Mario Kart 8 in general. So maybe that a lot of people might talk about Mario Kart 9 or Mario Kart 10 in the future. So it really depends on it really, especially considering for the fact that obviously that we've not pretty much done yet for the sake of Nintendo stuff in Journey Phones of 2023, until specifically, like I've already mentioned about this before, that the next Pokemon DLC thing is going to be releasing until next month, which should be around a couple of weeks from now. So, and it seems kind of weird about the fact that that particular DLC is going to be releasing about a day before Chicken Run Dawn of the Nugget. So, Oh yeah, I should also forgot to mention about this as well, and I suppose Sonic has also forgot to mention about this as well, is that recently the Marvel's film has recently came out just recently for the likes of the films within the big screen. So because of that, I still found it a bit weird about the fact that that particular film is actually without a doubt the shortest length in terms of the actual runtime. Like, what is up with that? But anyway, and in terms of everything else though, yes, I've somehow managed able to went to see all of the episodes, and I believe, if I recall correctly, I somehow finally get a chance to watch all of those Loki Season 2 episodes now. So relatively speaking, I was about for the fact that, well, I've already seen the Marvels already, during the course of the past few days ago, likely or so 2 days ago, which I suppose I forgot to mention about it, but I'm probably not going to give away any spoilers for the sake of the films of that particular film as a result, just because that film was pretty new at the time, so as a result, I'm probably not going to spoil things too much, so, oh boy, we come towards the part where the fact that certain, platforming segments can get pretty annoying, especially concerning for the forms of this section right here, especially concerning for the fact that, oh, we actually stumbled across into that red iron knuckle right there, but that's okay, because we somehow already deal with him, so because of that, let's, refill our health, just in case if I don't able to not only die from the lava pit, but also this godforsaken knockback, which much like the forms of Castlevania games, basically though, if I get hit by an enemy, it'll cost me to give me a knockback, which is never a good sign. Which I know for a fact that a lot of people got pretty annoyed about the forms of the stupid knockback issue in the old school all the old school video games nowadays. Like, for its time, it's kind of underwhelming, but either way though, that's all I can really talk about this, so... And also we stumbled across into this very weird enemy they just shoot projectiles at us, and that is what the reflect spell comes into play. But I'm probably not going to use it right now, just because I think it's probably best for me to able to actually save that until whenever we get to the boss in this temple. So because of that, again, wish me luck I suppose, especially because I still really need some good luck here, because if I don't, obviously this game is going to kick my butt without a doubt, so... Anyways, so let's just go ahead and deal with... Oh god, these things just jump all over the place. And I seriously do not like that. But at the very least, we were able to actually get some more experience points and what have you, so that's something, alright? Now, I believe for the most part is that we've almost nearly at the end of this particular temple. It's just that we have to go through a serious amount of those... Oh, iron knuckles again, and in fact, no matter what though, it's gonna bring us into the red variants, which is not too bad, despite I somehow got hit most of the time, so that's a little bit baffling for my part. So, anyway, so we've made our way towards the end of this temple, so I'm quite surprised, it's actually kind of short, kind of thinking about it, although I think I'm also taking a death here. Yep, I somehow took a death. But that's okay, because every time when you die, not only your health restores, but also your magic meter restores as well, so that should be okay for my book, so... But it's kind of unfortunate, I've only got 1 life left, so that's never a good sign. So anyways, this is where we need to utilize the reflect spell, just in case you can able to actually reflect the projectiles right back at this guy as the boss we're going to be fighting against, so... Yeah, I think I do recognize this particular boss ever since whenever I do manage to play NES Remix 2 on the Wii U eShop version. And relatively speaking though, if this is all depending on RNG by the way, or to be more specifically, it's all about the forms of the actual random RNG decides able to throw you off at points. But hey, at least we've already dealt with that particular boss okay enough. So yeah, I believe Palace number 4 is, well, concluded. So yeah, we've only got 2 palaces or temples left until we basically come towards the finale temple, which as a result, yeah, wish me luck on that part as well eventually though. And yeah, I can totally see why a lot of people got a lot of upsetting, heartbreaking moments to find out that, you know what that forms of that particular new Sonic game is going to be on its way until the 5th of December, called Sonic Dream Team. Is going to be, sadly, is going to be an Apple Arcade exclusive. So because of that, yeah, that's not really a good sign from my part. Especially I was really looking forward to able to see how that game's going to play out to be. But I don't think it's possible for us to do a Let's Play of that game, just because, well, like I said before, it's an Apple Arcade exclusive. So because of that, there was nothing we can do about it, and I just really wish if they were able to actually port the game, not just by the forms of on the PlayStation 5, but also on Xbox Series X, and eventually Nintendo Switch, or even the next generation of Nintendo consoles or something. But again, time will tell, especially concerning for the fact that, after all, that we actually got quite good selections of game releases during that specific period, as we already expect, which I know for a fact that in during the forms of in online matches in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I bet a lot of people seem to keep on picking DK Mountain for the sake of time, because they are very, very, very excited able to actually play that particular track in gorgeous HD, and on top of that, the music in that particular track is, my god, it's so amazing. Especially, I'm very still glad they choose DK Mountain over Dino Dino Jungle. I mean, nothing wrong with Dino Dino Jungle personally, but it's just that I feel like that DK Mountain has a lot of excitement, and it seems pretty weird and interesting at the same time that we actually got, well, let's just say, 2 of those DK themed courses that entirely relies on the forms of blasting in a cannon. So yeah, that does seems pretty cool. Like, one it takes place in winter, and the other one takes place in a jungle environment. So because of that, yeah, pretty cool and pretty substantial at the same time in my opinion, especially concerning for the fact that, well, I'm still having a lot of fun with it, you know? But it wasn't until when it gets to the point until 5 days later, I believe we'll might as well take a break on Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, at least assuming we will be back for that game, whenever we decided able to actually do the continuation parts of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Let's Play at some point until next year, then obviously that we'll able to start to be playing some Super Mario RPG, so because of that, yeah, that should be exciting, as far as we've already on about that already, so... Now, I believe after Super Mario RPG, I've actually decided to take a break on buying stuff for now, especially concerning for the fact that I'm pretty much all settled when it comes to the majority of 2023, and I should probably be able to start saving up so I can able to get some tons of items from the likes of not only in 2024, but in during forms and in the future years as well, especially concerning for the fact that there's going to be a lot of surprises during the forms of in 2024, although we need to able to consider this right, is that until next month, is that expecting to be believed, the Game Awards is going to take place until next month. So because of that, expecting for some brand new announcements during that time, or even certain nominations for the sake of the forms of the Game Awards, which I believe, fundamentally speaking though, I think it's probably best if we let Sonic be able to actually mention more about the forms of the Game Awards catalog, for the sake of the forms of next month in general, assuming of course, no matter what though, that he'll change into a different tie-in, for the sake of the forms of something a little bit more festive, and during at some point until next month, assuming of course that, you know, depending on how long that he's got into, for the likes of Sonic Frontiers, the Final Horizon DLC update so far, so... But yeah, that's as far as I can usually talk about this for the sake of time. I mean, relatively speaking though, it's about for the fact that, oh, and the last thing I want to mention is that, well, I'm happy to report is that I somehow managed able to obtain the Halloween Knuckles outfit, or specifically, Mummy Knuckles. So, yeah, I'm pretty proud of myself, you know. Unfortunately though, if you couldn't tell already, there's my another game over, which means, in addition about the fact that I accidentally managed able to come across into another experience points bag in one of those hidden areas, which means I get the horrible feeling that the thing will never respawn if you managed able to collect that to begin with. So because of that, yeah, this game's stupid. Well, that's all I can really say, because I just have no idea. They refused able to respawn those things at once. And especially it's a good thing I've actually decided able to save those extra lives until for later, so... But, yeah. Oh, and then the last thing I want to talk about is that between both Monsters Inc., including B-Me apparently, is that as far as I'm aware, ever since Injury Informs have been about a couple of days ago, since I would say for about 10 days ago, happy 22nd anniversary of Monsters Inc., and especially noticeable, happy I would say happy 16th anniversary of B-Movie. I know because of the forms of the memes and all that stuff, which there are so many B-movie memes 24/7, especially concerning for the fact that it's been all over the world for the sake of the fonts and the memes and all that stuff, which I've definitely have not seen a film for a very long time, especially concerning for the fact that it was just there. I mean, it does have some interesting parts worth noting for it, but it's just that not my cup of tea though. I will have to be quite frank here. So, yeah, that's as far as I can usually say about the fonts of today's topic at this point. Even though, to be fair, that I did somehow manage to explain quite a lot for this point today. So even then, I was expecting to try and able to mention something else, but it's probably best if we let Sonic be able to mention more about any other things during the future times. So, anyways though, I have no idea why I somehow activate that particular random area, because I'm obviously need able to try to settle things out for, let's just say, get everything else needed for able to actually tackle through the 5th temple throughout the thing. So, although then again though, I will able to actually decide able to, since I've lost my experience points, so maybe exponentially though, I will be able to decide able to take a break on this game for a while, until I've decided able to actually rank up my more experience points, and during at some point in the next few weeks time. So because of that, once I'm fully be ready for the sake of the forms, if I get enough experience points to be ready for able to tackle through the 5th temple in the game, which by the way, at some points that certain temples can be annoying to navigate. So, because like I said before, there's no built-in map function, so yeah, that's what I can really say about it. So, in order to able to actually go into the 5th temple in the game, you walk straight on, and that's essentially how you can make it. So, yeah, pure and simple, and that's why we've got the water boots from the start. So, anyway, we got the endings of this point right here, so join me next time for more of Let's Play of Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link. Is that we're about to tackle through the 5th temple in the game. So, again, I will able to grind as many of those experience points off screen, but if the time is right, then I'll be back for it. So I'll see you guys until on December. Later, fellas.